harmonize their plans, programs, and activities with the Regional Development Plan. Basic needs for Bicolanos are identified in the areas of education, health, housing, and social welfare. In the field of education, our RDP states that every Bicolano has the right to education. The goal is to produce good and productive citizens. The plan aims to provide access to quality education for all Bicolanos and to improve instructional outcomes in all levels. In the effort to make higher education in Region 5 more responsive to the manpower needs of the region and to fast-track the realization of the goals in the RDP for sustainable and inclusive growth, RDC Resolution number 54, series of 2012, approving the conduct of a higher education summit was approved, wherein CHED was tasked to coordinate the conduct of the summit. This will be a venue for plenary sessions and workshops geared towards the K-12 program, the enrichment of technical vocational courses, concerns of local colleges in the region, and reforms in higher education. In particular, this two-day occasion aims to, number one, determine both present and emerging issues and concerns for the higher education system, which affect higher education institutions in Region 5. Second, identify, align, adopt, and implement plans, policies, programs, and strategies to strengthen capabilities of its EIs so that they become responsive to their role in the Regional Development Plan. Third, generate proposals, recommendations, resolutions, and pledges of commitment addressed to authorities concerned to improve the higher education system in support of the RTP. As to our view, we shall devote the first few hours, of course, listening to the prominent officials in our society, namely our keynote speaker. We have here the Honorable Chairperson, Patricia Lipuanan, and our competent resource persons for such topics as Vision for Bicol, the Bicol Regional Development Plan, Bicol Competitiveness in the Higher Education Leadership Institution, its role in the Philippine Higher Education Roadmap. Afterwards, the big group shall then break out into small groups for the workshop parallel sessions per cluster, namely the basic education cluster, the tech book cluster, the local college cluster, and the higher education cluster. In the parallel sessions, which are basically structured discussions, the highlights of the pre-summit per cluster shall be presented for some inputs, comments, and changes, if need be. In the original program, we are supposed to have a fellowship this evening, dubbed as Governor's Night, sponsored by the Office of Albay Governor. However, as we are all aware of the tragic and depressing current condition of our fellow Filipinos in Tacloban and in the Visayas, our governor decided otherwise, that instead of spending much for our fellowship tonight, the fund will just be used to help the victims of the super typhoon Yolanda. Hence, we shall dispense with the fellowship of Governor's Night. Anyhow, this will work to our advantage so that we will be rested for tomorrow morning, which will be the highlight of the summit, that is the plenary session. It will be a presentation of technical papers, resolutions, and recommendations per cluster for policy decisions and possible adoption by the Regional Development Council and the line agencies concerned, including the concerns of every higher education institution. It will be followed by a pledge of commitment. Alam niyo, makakatakas kayo. You will manunumpa kayo. You will write something in the, later on. And the ceremonial signing of this covenant, there will be covenant for regional higher education reform by heads and or representatives of educational institutions and In response to this, there will be an acceptance speech by the Honorable Governor of Albay and the RDC Chair on behalf of the Regional Development Council. Tomorrow afternoon, we shall then be entertained with a cultural presentation of the Aquinas University Center for Culture and the Arts. Subsequently, one or two participants will deliver their impression of the summit. To show our gratitude to the commendation of all those who work hard for this Regional Higher Education Summit, we shall also be awarding or recognizing the different individuals and committees. The finale will be the evaluation of the summit, wherein all feedback, comments, and recommendations can be taken note by the documentation committee. Lastly, the Regional Higher Education Summit formally and officially ends through a closing message and the exit of honors. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker is a social psychologist, educator, and women's rights activist. Her teaching, research, and practice in social psychology focus on human factors in the national development process, education and educational reform, social issues, human resource development, and gender issues. She holds an MA in psychology from Cornell University and a PhD in social psychology from the Pennsylvania State University. She has been professor and chair of the Department of Psychology and academic vice president of the Ateneo de Manila University, and was the immediate past president of Miriam College, an educational institution aggressively committed to social justice, a culture of peace, environmental sustainability, and gender equality, and empowerment of women. As a psychologist and educator, our speaker has played important leadership roles in a wide range of organizations. She has been president of the Psychological Association of the Philippines and chair of the Philippine Social Science Council, the Technical Panel on Humanities, Social Sciences, and Communication of the Commission on Higher Education, the Philippine Council of NGO Certification, and the Executive Council of the Consortium of Women's Colleges. She served as Vice President of the Catholic Association of the Philippines and board member of the Philippine Accredited Association of Schools, Colleges, and Universities. She has been member of the board of directors of several educational institutions and editor-in-chief of the Philippine Journal of Education, a magazine for teachers. She has served as president of the Association of Women Presidents and Chancellors of Private Colleges and Universities. Her work on women's issues, including serving as chairperson of the National Commission on the Role of Philippine Women, now the Philippine Commission on Women. It was during her term that the groundbreaking Philippine Development Plan for Women was launched. She was the chair of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women as the preparatory commission for the UN 4th World Conference on Women held in Beijing, China in 1995. At the conference, she chaired the main committee, which negotiated the Beijing Platform for Action. She has served as chairperson of the ASEAN Women Program, UNESCO Philippine Focal Point for Women, member and chair of the External Forum on Gender Development of the Asian Development Bank, board member of the Center for Asia-Pacific Women in Politics. She has headed the regional women's NGO network, such as the Asia-Pacific Women's Watch and Southeast Asia Women's Watch, which are involved in advocacy for and monitoring of the implementation of the Beijing Platform for Action, and which work on the reaffirmation of the platform at its reviews. She chaired the Asia-Pacific NGO Forum in Beijing +10, and was convener of the Asia-Pacific NGO Forum in Beijing +15. Her vast experience and involvement in women's issues also includes serving as UNIFEM advisor to the Ministry of Women's Affairs of Afghanistan, helping this new ministry get organized and define its role in post-Taliban Afghanistan.